my definition of the winning formula is probably slightly different from that. It's evolved, if you like. Weather forecasting is an art and a science and a communication. It's all three of those things. So we should spend 30% on each and leave 10% for luck. Weather forecasting is an art. That means that when you do a weather forecast, you should do it like as Ken Briley was describing a few years ago. He had his rules for writing out a weather forecast. To say as little as possible, tell them what's happening now, and give them one change, and leave a disclaimer. So that's good. We haven't had any showers today, but we know there's some around on the radar, so the forecast is for fine periods and a few showers. Otherwise, fine. Beautiful disclaimer. And how many times have I had that forecast for the Auckland area, a few showers, otherwise fine. Isn't it a perfect forecast for a place like here? It satisfies that. I don't know if it was Ken Briley who originally thought of the way of writing that forecast as an art form, but it's definitely what lots of forecasts use, that same method. Always put in a disclaimer. And otherwise fine is a two-word disclaimer which satisfies most criteria. Boom. It lets you off the hook. But it's also a communication, and that's where I like to try and sort of twist the forecast into perhaps something that people can remember. Perhaps the better people in terms of communicating weather forecasts are somebody like Jim Hickey. He can be blabbing along on TV for about 5 minutes or so at the time when you are having dinner at home and you might have some people around having dinner with you and there's interruptions going left, right, and centre. But even still, you can get the message from him. He communicates his ideas through that babble of noise around you into your brain. That's communication. The third part of forecasting is the science of forecasting. Now, forecasting done by scientists today, it's not like what you get from people like those who are astrologers in the task, who will remain nameless. Start with Ken. No, they just their science is very simple. The last Sarah cycle, the weather did this, so again it's going to do this. Tomorrow is a different part of the Sarah cycle, so it will do that. No. We won't worry about the moon at all. Weather is definitely able, it has got pattern in it, and we can follow that pattern and extrapolate it into the future. So the first part of science is to get the observations. Grab as many observations as you can. Good. Second part is the computer. You put all that data into a matrix of dots, all equally spaced across the globe. The data observations don't actually fit the dots because the observations are at places like Bean Rock, and the nearest dot's nowhere near Bean Rock, so you have to extrapolate and average out the data. So straight away, there's room for error. But there we have time zero. This is the captured pattern of the weather. You can see it on the weather maps that you see on TV. That's the captured pattern. And then the computers use the known physics of the atmosphere and the mathematics thereof, and they use each of those little dots in the matrix and they push them forward one time step into the future. Each little dot has a look at all the data around that dot to decide which way it's going to go into the future one time step. And we keep using this iteration process over and over again, and we can start from time zero and go way out into the future as fast as the computer can calculate. Great fun. That's an idea from Isobar land. It's not the real world. In the real world, where there is a mixture of pattern and chaos. And soon after time zero, somebody somewhere lit up a cigarette. And slightly jiggled the pattern. And all those combinations of the hubbub of normal life produced a jiggling of the pattern into a different scenario into the future. After about 3 or 5 days, the real weather is significantly different from the poor old extrapolated pattern. So the people who take that data from the computer are the skilled meteorologists, and they add a little personal touch. The first thing they do is they have a look at 5 different global models of the weather around the world. And then they decide on which one is the most accurate in terms of initialization at time 0. And then they say, well, today we've got blocking, so we'll go with the European Community Model, book, and fire out forecasts according to that. These humans who add their little bit of skill and study to the weather that comes straight from the computers, they also add a disclaimer, otherwise fine, which the computer never thought of, see? And that's the forecast that you get. So my winning formula, now, I can give it to you quite plainly. First of all, treat every forecast that you get as being merely an idea from isobarland. Gather the best ideas you can and then tweak them, twist them, turn them around using your own local knowledge and your own eye on your own sky. Give you an example. Forecast for Auckland might be saying, oh, well, southwesterlies and scattered showers, otherwise fine. We'll say the otherwise fine. So, okay, they gave you a wind direction, southwesterlies. If you're living over in Titirangi, don't put your washing out, because the showers are twice as often over there anyway, especially in southwesterlies. If you're living out over the North Shore or out of Waiheke Island, southwesterlies are not so bad. You can actually get your washing dry. So put your washing out and keep an eye on the sky, because there might be one shower that can come and wet your washing. But generally speaking, that southwesterly is a good drying wind. Places like Waiheke Island, certainly a great barrier. By that time, it's sort of lost its showers. So the same forecast can be interpreted 2 different ways just by using the winning formula. Now, you can check the veracity of the forecast by looking at this is what was said and this is what happened. And if you do that with the forecast, say, from Met Service, you're getting a sort of an 80% check rate, 80% per month. But if you apply my winning formula and use your own eye on your own sky to update the forecast, you will increase that accuracy to 95%. You'll add an extra 15% accuracy to it. So there you go. In other words, if you're putting out the washing and you keep an eye on the sky, you'll catch the showers before they catch your washing.